Wagwan, this is Kerriann from 𝐾𝐸𝐴𝐵𝐴𝐴𝐵𝐴𝐵𝐴𝐵𝐴𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵𝐵 make my Jamaican spiced Easter bun. Now if you're looking for a super moist and delicious Easter bun, then look no further, your girl got you. Stick around and let's get baking. So before we start prepping our Easter bun, we're going to go ahead and preheat our oven to 320 degrees and also prep our baking pan and set it aside. So we're going to grease our pan and add a little parchment paper so our bun won't stick to our pan. You should not skip this step even if you're using a non-stick pan. So we're going to drop some butter in our pan, and then we're going to use a paper towel or a piece of parchment paper. We're going to use the butter to generously coat the sides and the bottom of the pan. So then I'm going to line it in what I consider an old school method. I'm going to place the pan on top of my parchment paper. Then I'm going to take a pen or a pencil and I'm going to score the pan on the parchment paper, which is just drawing an outline of the pan like I'm doing here, all the way around on the parchment paper. Don't worry, it doesn't have to be perfect. So now we're going to take our scissors and we're going to cut on the inside of the line, right? So you're going to cut to the left of the outline, and you're going to do that all the way around. You're going to work your way all the way around until you've completely cut out the outline of your baking pan. So now that we've cut out the outline, we going to discard the scraps, and then we're going to take one piece of our sheet and line the bottom of our baking pan, just like I'm doing here. Once that's done, we're going to go ahead and set our pan aside and move on to prepping our bun. So first I'm starting by adding my liquids to my saucepan. First I'm adding my Dragon Stout. You can use Guinness Stout. This is going to add such a nice flavor to our bun. Then I'll add my butter. So I'm going to follow that up with my vegetable oil. This is going to make our bun super moist, which is exactly what we want. Now I'm going to go in with my guava jelly. You could use whatever flavor jam or jelly you have on hand. I'm going to go in with some molasses. Now I'm adding some browning. This is going to help to give our bun that beautiful, rich, dark brown color that we're looking for. Then we're going to go in with our vanilla extract. So I'm going in with 1 cup of my brown sugar. If you have more of a sweet tooth and you like your bun to be on the sweeter side, you can go ahead and add another ½ cup of sugar. I'm also going to follow this up with some honey. So I'm actually using raw honey here, but you can use whatever honey you have on hand, whatever your preference is. This is your choice. It's completely up to you. So now you want to give this a stir and combine everything, and then you want to turn your stove on to a low setting and bring this to a simmer. You do not want to bring it to a boil. We want to allow this to simmer to allow our butter to melt and our sugar granules to dissolve, as well as our jelly to dissolve out in our liquid. Next, you want to give it a stir to combine everything. Then you want to remove your pot from the heat source and allow your mixture to cool to room temperature. So now that our stout mixture has cooled down to room temperature, we want to go ahead and sieve out our dry ingredients. Now, as a general rule, you always want to sieve your dry ingredients unless your recipe specifically tells you not to, because this makes the flour lighter and remove any lumps that would otherwise be in your batter. So we're going to sieve our flour. So I'm sieving in batches because the strainer cannot handle the volume of all my flour all at once. So don't worry about having to write down all the ingredients and measurements. I'm going to take care of that for you by listing them in the video description. That was the last of my flour, so I'm going to go ahead and add all my spices. So I'm adding my mixed spice, which is going to add tons of flavor. I'm adding some salt. I'm going in with some cinnamon powder, some baking powder. I'm adding some baking soda as well. I'm going to add some nutmeg. And I'm also adding some ginger, which is going to give it a nice flavor. And now we're going to sieve everything together. And anything that's sitting at the bottom of your strainer gets discarded. And then we want to mix everything together to combine. So we're going to create a well in the middle of our bowl. You can use your hand or your spoon like I'm doing here. And now we're going to add our wet ingredients to our dry ingredients. Now since your stout mixture has been sitting for a while, you want to go ahead and use a whisk or a spoon and just give it a stir just to combine everything. So now we're going to add our stout mixture in batches to our dry mixture and then use a spoon to fold it in until all our mixture has been incorporated in our flour. So now that we have combined our dry and our wet ingredients, we want to move on to our next step. So I've had my raisins, mixed peel, and cherries. They were soaking in some port wine overnight. You want to at least soak them for an hour, or if time doesn't allow, you can bring them to a slow simmer just so the fruits can soften up as well as absorb some of the flavor from the wine. So the fruits for the Easter bun are usually used whole. They're not blended out like you would for the fruit cake. But I did go ahead and rough chop the cherries because I wanted them to be smaller. Also, you can adjust the amount of fruits that's in your bun. You can add more or you can add less. That's completely up to you. So once our fruits are nicely combined, you want to go ahead and beat your egg and add it to your mixture. And lastly, I want to add some rose water, which is going to give it such a beautiful flavor. And then we want to mix to combine. So now that all our ingredients are combined, this is our final consistency. Now you can make an adjustment to the color. If you want your bun to be a bit darker, you can add more browning. Now, a word of caution with using the browning, because too much will give you a bitter batter, and so you want to add it slowly. I'm fine with the color being what it is, and so I'm moving on to my next step. So now we're going to pour this delicious Easter bun batter mix into our baking pan, and you want to leave about a 1-inch clearance at the top to allow your bun to rise and not spill over your pan. So now you want to gently shake your bun to remove any of your packets. And then you grab a spatula to smooth out the top, just to take care of any air bubbles that may be sitting on top of the bun. So I'm going to add a few cherries to garnish. Then I'm going to allow this to bake at 320 degrees for an hour. You want to start testing your bun at about 45 minutes in by sticking a toothpick or a skewer in the center. And if it comes back clean, then your bun is done. If not, you want to give it a little bit more time until your toothpick or your skewer returns with no batter on it. And here you have our delicious Easter bun fresh out the oven. I'm going to allow this to sit for about 10 to 15 minutes. Then I'm going to apply my glaze and allow my bun to sit overnight before I cut into it. So I'm using a mix of melted butter and honey as my glaze. This is going to give our bun such a nice sheen, as well as it's going to help to lock in some of that moisture so our bun doesn't dry out as quickly. You want to add a generous coating of our glaze all over the top of our bun. This smells and look amazing, you guys. The color is so beautiful. My kitchen smells like a bakery. I wish I could share it with you guys. Look at that gorgeous color. This is what your bun will look like. Beautifully glazed. Right now it's really sticky because our glaze is wet and it hasn't had a chance to really set. So try not to touch the glaze too much. Also, the bun is still hot. You want to allow your bun to completely cool. So I'm going to recommend that you allow your bun to sit overnight. One, because if you cut into the hot bun, it's just going to break apart. And two, you want to allow your flavors to combine. It's the same principle with the Jamaican Christmas cake, the Jamaican fruit cake. The longer it sits, the better it tastes. So at least allow your bun to sit overnight so the flavors can all come together. So I'm just going to use a foil to form a tent over the bun and set this aside and allow it to completely cool before cutting into it. So now that we've allowed our bun to completely cool, this is the moment that we've been waiting for. I'm going to use my knife to score the bun out of the pan. And all that means is that I'm using my knife to run around the sides of my pan to release the bun so it comes out easily. Perfect. So now you'll just shake it. Just give it a little shake, shake, shake. And the bun will just slide right out in your hand. And there we have it. And there you have it, my friends, an incredibly moist and delicious Easter bun. Our Easter bun is traditionally served with cheese, but you can enjoy your bun your way. As always, I want to thank you for tuning in and hanging out with me today, and I hope you will try this recipe as well as give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already subscribed to our channel, I invite you to subscribe now and hit that notification bell. As always, one love and stay blessed, my friend.